Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. All right, so this is like a part 2. So the video is on this look right here. And if you guys seen part 1, I used the NARS Summer Lights Face and Eye Palette and did that bronzy look. It kind of had that 90s grunge vibe to it, kind of the I woke up like this, I'm with the band, kind of a 90s, kind of a messy, but yet still structured. So it was kind of a undone, but done kind of a look. So that is what I did for part 1, and then I decided to take that daytime bronzy look into this nighttime smoldering look with a really kind of a dramatic crease. So I did my crease a little bit more stronger and dramatic than what I normally do, but I created this look and I posted this on Instagram not too long ago. I'm hoping you guys can see without too much glare from the ring lights, but anyway, I was just kind of recreating this look. I'm hoping you guys can see it. It was a really beautiful burgundy look. And again, these shades just really, it's just basic color theory. They just make blue eyes pop. I just love this whole kind of siennas and the reds and the corals and the oranges, even the yellows, just like a whole side of that color wheel. Just basic color theory makes blue eyes pop. I don't know if you guys can see if the camera's picking it up, but in person, these red siennas, these brick shades that are on here just are really, just really accentuating my blue eyes. All right, I do want to keep this intro really super short because I normally ramble. So if you guys want to hear the introduction of who I am, then you can watch any of my other videos. I'm going to keep this super short. Please hit the subscribe button and join my Hooded Eyes group here, as well as the notification bell so YouTube will notify you of all of my future uploads. And without further ado, let's get into this tutorial. This will actually be fun. I filmed this look from my Instagram. I don't know if you guys can see with the glare here, but it's a pretty intense eye look right here. Well, I say that it's a little bit more intense than what I normally do for myself. So I'm going to kind of recreate the steps on this look today because I kind of mentioned that I would, so doing that today. So you guys have already seen part 1, which is this bronzy look. I'm going to clip my hair back and then we are going to get started here. All right, I'm going to see if I can't find my Kylie black pencil. Here it is. All right, I'm going to use a combination of, this is a really old Kevin Aquan. This is the basic black thing. I'm going to start with, and this doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to smoke and smudge this out. As always, I'm just wiggling this in between my lashes, almost kind of like it's tightlining a hair. I'm going to just get this on. And just kind of make a little wing. All right, I've switched to the Kylie Bronze Palette and my Makeup Forever Flat Definer Brush. And I'm going to kind of just smoke along the lash line right here and just kind of put in the shadow. I'm going to stay really, really close. All right, I'm using my Kylie Bronze palette now, and I'm going to grab this black shade on this Makeup Forever Flat Definer Brush, and I'm going to stamp really, really close to the root of the lash line, just kind of right on top of that liner. And I'm keeping this just a little tiny wing for right now. I'm stamping really close, almost kind of like I'm tightlining in a way. I'm just kind of wiggling in here. I'm just adding a lot of depth and dimension, as you can see, to this lash line here. It's really kind of thickening that up. All right, so you can see the difference here. I did one eye off camera, so you can kind of see it's kind of a smoky, kind of that gradient fade. I'm doing the same thing. You can see the difference here. So I switched to a different flat definer brush. This one's a little softer, a little bit more dense, but a little softer, not quite as precise as the Makeup Forever. And I'm grabbing this shade right here, this little taupey brown shade. And I'm just going to, I'm not going to smoke it out a lot, but I am going to just kind of do a little light soft smoke and just kind of smoke it up a little bit. When you do that, it really adds, as you can see, it just adds such a nice soft diffused look. And it kind of tones down the harshness of the black, which I want for this look. I like that anyway, just in general, because black is just kind of too harsh on me. So once I smoke that up on top, I'm going to pull the shadow that's out here already. I'm not going to add any more. I'm just going to pull this out, extend it into this little cat eye, and then I'm going to stamp right here. And it's going to kind of connect to the lower lash line smoke. All right, so in my video that I just did, I think at one point I referred to this NARS brush as the 41. This is actually the 42. I don't know how I screw that up. This is the 41 NARS. I call this my really large smoker. I use this one to just kind of whisk away. I also use it to kind of tap and press. It really kind of softens the edges. Sometimes I prefer to soften the edges that way as opposed to just to continue on with blending and blending and blending and just swirling that color around. And then when it's softened, then I can just feather out. All right, I'm going to deepen this up a little bit. And this brush is really nice because it gives me that kind of soft focus effect. So this is what I had working with. I have not touched this from when I did the last video. I'm going to grab this shade. This is my Z palette, a lot of shades that I use in here. I'm going to grab Brown Script from MAC, which is one of my favorite shadows. And I'm going to kind of go right into the crease, but a little bit above. I'm just going to focus on having a nice little wash of color here. Going to kind of deepen this up before I go in and really deepen up that crease. This brush is really great because it really gives you a nice, diffused, effortless blend. I mean, you really don't have to do much. I am continuing to build up this color, just taking a little bit at a time on the brush and blending it as I go, just slightly upwards. I'm still in that socket, just blending a tiny bit upwards, but I am building up on the color. So you can see it's getting a little bit deeper. Right now is when I'm going to use my 41. I call this my really extra large smoker. And I'm going to go over these edges right here. And I'm just going to start by tapping and pressing on these edges. This is going to loosen them up a little bit, soften them up. And then I'm going to whisk away out here. A lot of times I do my crease first. This time I did my shades first, and I'm doing the crease last. Because I didn't want to build up a lot of dark colors onto the crease, so I decided to do it this way, which means I've got to use a darker shade for the crease. So I'm going to grab this Rust shade from the Rust stack, and I'm hoping that this will work. I think it will. I'm going to make this crease. I'm right above my natural crease. I'm right in the socket. I am going to make this a little bit more, not necessarily winged out, but kind of like a little bit more intense than what I normally do for sure. This is a really deep shade here. Gonna just kind of feather the edges out. And you can see that I'm kind of just bringing it into the inner corner a little bit. And I am taking it out, winging that out a little bit. Really, really intensifying this crease right here. You can see that this is much more of a dramatic fake crease than what I normally do. I'm going to bring this in and just kind of soften the edges. I call it tapping out the edges. I'm just tapping them out a little bit so that they just poof a little bit easier and quicker. All right, this brush is so incredibly soft. This is a really kind of a dark crease I got going on here. All right, I'm gonna grab my Sigma. Where is my E32? My exact blend. It doesn't matter which brush you use at this point, but this is just a really soft little shader. And I'm just going to tap directly on top. This is going to kind of soften and diffuse it just a little bit. This is what I do to kind of prep for a blend. The dark shade. All right, I did a lot of tapping and pressing and really feathering out and blowing out these shades right here. And now I'm going to go back in with my NARS 42. I'm going to grab Brown Script again from MAC. And I'm just going to put this shade back on top of that fake crease line that I created. This is really getting kind of a dark and a smoky over here. I like to call it soft smoke though, because I'm not a member of the Great American Smokeout group anymore, but I will say that these shades are extremely flattering on blue eyes. They just really, these siennas, these reds, these oranges, peaches and corals, you know, that whole color family, even the maroons and the deeper reds and plums, they just make blue eyes pop. I love that whole color story. All right, I'm going to actually grab my Max Blanc type here. And I'm just grabbing a crown. This is the C507. It's just a really fat shader. And I'm going to tap. I'm going to have a lot of contrast for this look. That's why I wanted to do this crease line really dark. All right, I am just dabbing a tiny bit of my NYX white shadow base here. It's a great amplifier. And I'm going to, I kind of carved out my lid space with that Blanc type. And now I'm really kind of going in and laying down. And just really kind of carving out this lid space. That is why I wanted a really dark crease, so I'd have that dark to light contrast. All right, I'm really gonna make this contrast pop now. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my white shade here from my Z palette. This is Max. I think it's a white frost or something, I'm not sure. But I tell you, I have to have a white in almost every single palette that I do that I get, and I know that that's really kind of hard to come by. But I love white. It's an awesome amplifier. All right, I'm going to go back in with the NARS. This is the Summer Lights face palette. If you guys saw part one, you guys seen that I used this palette on my face, and this was what was on my eyes at the start of this video. There was nothing else on my eyes except the shades in this palette. except that I did use my MAC's Holy Grail, I guess, as my inner corner highlight, but that was it. Other than that, this is what is on there. So I'm going to grab my Sigma E35. It's a really nice, it's a perfect brush for this particular step. I'm going to just kind of swirl a little bit up here on the brow, connect it to the nose contour as always, and just kind of brush it up to the brow, just to really kind of soften this area, and just kind of go right above that kind of fake crease line right there, and just to really kind of grab a little bit of this shade Classic, which is from the Rust Stack as well, and just swirl a little bit of this out here. I'm grabbing my La Mer powder brush, and I'm just going to take a tiny bit of this, a bronzer, just a tiny bit, and just kind of touch up a little bit. I really don't need to do anything because my makeup is good from my first video. So this just took the whole look from day to night. And I'm going to grab my, I'm going to use my Morphe setting spray because this one is honestly my favorite. Like, this one smells amazing, and it comes out in a super fine mist. Ooh. Fan makes funny noises. All right, guys, so that is the look. I absolutely love how it came out. So that's a recreation from the look that I did on Instagram, and that is it. Mwah! Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. I will see you in my next one.